In this video for Web Design Tools, ITSE-1405 at El Centro College, I'm going to try to walk through the steps of replicating some of the things that were done in earlier videos for PC, but in this time it's going to be for Mac users. I had already installed this Mac with all the necessary software. I scraped it all off. I hope that everything is removed to sort of get you at the same state, or rather get me at the same state that you might be. That is, no GitHub, no Git, no nothing right now. So, although I will be searching using Google in this video, I will attach links, the direct links for you to use when it's made. So I know that I need to, first of all, I want to get Visual Studio Code, which is a free from Microsoft. I'm going to click the same link, so I'm thinking that it's going to take me to the Visual Studio Code page, and I get the option to download for Windows, for Linux, and for Mac. My Mac system is not the latest and greatest, but I think that the system is smart enough to tell me that the program that it's downloading will work with mine. If it doesn't work, well then we'll fix it at some point, somehow. I'm going to save the file, and I'm going to put it on my desktop, somewhere where I can find it. Desktop, I have a folder here called Files that I can actually see a little bit easier, and it'll be dropped there. So I'll save it, wait for it to come in. I'm using Firefox, so let me go find it. It's already completed. It's this side over here. This is the window. I have a disk image, and it's in a zip file. On my Mac, it's simple enough to unarchive a zip file. I just double click. It tells me that it's expanding it, and a new folder, or rather in this case an application, appears, Visual Studio Code. This is not necessarily where I want to have it in the desktop, but I'm going to double click on it anyway and see what happens. At the bottom of my screen, the icon is running. Visual Studio Code is an application downloaded from the internet. Are you sure you want to open it? I'll click on open, say yes, basically. And then it shows me, okay, here's Visual Studio Code. And I see that all my previous files are not showing, which is a good thing because I don't need them right now. I just want to make sure that all of this works. I'm just going to rearrange it a little bit differently so it fits on the screen that I'm looking at. And, well, I think that that's pretty much it for Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is pretty easy. I wish that you could see my menu up here. I have at the very top, next to the Apple menu, I have a code, file, edit, selection, view, go, etc. I'm going to click on the code menu and then tell it to quit. So that's Command Q, same thing. I don't need the zip anymore, so I'm going to delete it. It's gone. This, you can actually move this to the applications folder and run it from there. If you are familiar with your Mac, then, or unfamiliar I should say, on your desktop, if you click on the Go menu at the very top, one of the options that you get is Applications. And then you'll get to see all of these applications. You'll see stuff that I have already installed. And if I go and get my other folder somewhere, I think I closed it. Let me go back, show you the files, open them up. Here's Visual Studio Code. I'm going to drag this into my application folder, and then I can run it from here. And just say double click Visual Studio Code, and there it is. You could also go to the Go menu, look for applications. If you're familiar with your shortcuts for Spotlight also, you can just say Visual Studio Code and it'll pop up and say yes. You just run it by pressing enter, and great. So once again, I'm going to press Command Q to exit. Visual Studio Code is installed on my Mac now, so I think that was pretty easy. The harder part is going to be the Git and the GitHub Desktop. And I don't really think, maybe I shouldn't say that it's too difficult. It's just, so first of all, before I can do anything about installing, I have to go get the software. So I'm going to do another Google search, and I'm going to say download Git for Mac. And the one that you want is the GitScm.com, and I think that somewhere along the way here, when we installed Git, and it might be in another week, the link for the good site is already there, but I'll share it again nonetheless. It's this one, the GitScm.com. Downloading Git, it's already starting, it tells me. I don't know whether to believe it or not. If so, let me see. VS Code is the last thing that downloaded, so if it doesn't start, click to download manually. It's going to take me to SourceForge, and here I can tell it to either open it with a disk image mounter, which is the default. Basically going to download the disk image like VS Code did. I'm going to save the file just so that I know where it is and I can have access to it. I'm going to put it in the same files folder. That's also the same one. It's in the desktop, and it's the last one that I use. So desktop files. There's nothing there right now, so I'll just click save. It's a disk image. That was a DMG. And if I recall, this download might be a little bit larger, so it might take a little bit longer. Don't click on anything on these pages. SourceForge is fairly reliable, but they might want you to join a mailing list, and then you'll get all these emails that maybe you're not interested in. Or maybe you are. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. My recommendation is to just move along. So the file's already in the Finder, I think. So it's a DMG. It's a disk image. I'm going to open up the disk image by double-clicking it. And it's telling me that it's doing that, and it's mounting it. And although you can't see it because it's on another monitor, the disk image, it's called Git 2.230 Mavericks Universal, etc. Well, basically the same as the package that came up. And this is an installation package. There's other stuff here that you can read if you want to, just about what's new with this version, how it works. Double click, and it says can't be opened because it's from an unidentified developer. So this is a security method that Mac uses. It's real easy to circumvent since I'm already using the Mac. I think that it thinks that I own it, which I don't, but it's mine. I'm going to right click it and tell it to open. And then it's telling me the same message, but are you sure you want to open it? Now I do have the option to click open, and this is what opened this window that says it's the universal installer. Tell it to continue. It's telling me that it's going to perform a standard installation. It's 72 megabytes of space. I'm going to trust that it's going to put it in the right place. I'm going to put in my password to install it, and that's it. Now Git has been installed. Now Git is works in the back end of the system. It's things that need to get done by the system. It helps it to communicate with your GitHub page later. GitHub Desktop depends on Git for a lot of things, and it will also allow you to work with your GitHub page a little bit easier. Now that I mentioned GitHub Desktop, that's the last thing that I need to install. In another tab, I'm going to do another Google search just for GitHub Desktop. And I'm going to go to desktop.github.com. And I'm going to download it for the Mac. I'll just click here, tell it same deal, save it. I'm going to put it once again in my desktop inside my files folder. And put it along there with the other file. This is also zipped. I'll go searching for it, and there it is already, github.desktop.zip. Double click to unarchive. It expands it, and I expect to see actually I wanted a DMG file, but actually this is the program, GitHub Desktop. And so I'm going to do the same thing that I did with VS Code, the Visual Studio Code, which is I'm going to go to my top menu, tell it to go to applications, and here's my applications. I should have done it in another window because now this one is on top of it. That's one thing about Mac. It's just it's not as well. I shouldn't say that. They will all let you down when you need them. Windows would open up another window, but not in Windows. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna try to go to applications again, and okay, I still don't get another window. Alright then, well, what I'm gonna do, just so that I can show you all this, I'm gonna put GitHub Desktop literally on the desktop, and then I'm going to go to the applications. And once this applications window is open, I'm going to click and drag it. So now GitHub Desktop is in applications, and I can double click and run it from here. Same message, a little bit friendlier because I can click open. You'll only see this the first time that you run it, and I see that it's actually on another window. I'll bring it right back. So let me move it back over here to this window. It says let's get started, and it's saying that we can clone a repository from the internet, we can create a new repository, etc., add existing stuff. Well, that's all great. If you have already gone through the process of creating a GitHub account, that doesn't change because you do all that on the browser. That doesn't matter if you're in a Mac or in a PC. It's the same process basically. I'm going to quit this and then bring back my other browser, which is this one here. I already downloaded that, so I don't need it anymore. All of these links, the ones that I googled and searched and found, I'll put with the section for the Mac, and hope that those help. So what do you do now? Well, everything else that you see on PC, every time that you see me working with a file, should work about the same with the Mac versions as it does on the PC. First thing that I want to do, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, I'm going to go into my GitHub page, github.com. And I don't need to sign up because I already have an account. So if you don't have an account, you need to make one. It's real easy to do. Just make sure that you click on sign up, username, etc. But if you follow the directions in the other video, the one for the PC, it should be about the same, if not actually really the same. I'm going to click on sign in because, like I said, I already have an account, and this is the one that I created for this class, ITSE-1401. My username is ITSE-1401, and that's how I will be recognized in GitHub as ITSE-1401.github.io. Once my website is completed, I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to visit my repository. This is the one from the other lessons that is really, this is my website that I'm working on. So if I were to highlight this ITSE-1401.github.io and copy the link and visit it, I would paste and go, and it would show me my website. And it's important to make a distinction between the website at GitHub and the GitHub repository. The website, the one that actually shows you the contents of your page, is the one that I copied and pasted. It's username.github.io. The repository actually is the one that's the first thing that you see in your user when you log in. And it's this one right here. This is the repository. It's if you click here at the very bottom, you'll see that it's github.com /ITSE-1401 /ITSE-1401.github.io. All of that path, it's this, well, it disappears, but it's this one down there. I'm going to right click here since I can't see it on my address bar, and I'm going to tell it to copy the link location, and then that way I can have it when I'm running and installing Git, which I already did, so, but I'll just keep it. I moved on from my Firefox into Chrome just to paste what I copied, make sure that I copied the right thing. github.com /ITSE-1401, ITSE-1401.github.io. Simplified, it's github.com /your username.github.io. And anyone, by the way, can see your project. These are public projects. It's open source, and so are our assignments. So anyone can go in and look at your code. So don't put anything private in there. You can get a private Git account, but you don't need it for this course. It's all over the place, so don't think too much about it. At any rate, now that I've done this, I'm going to try to get some things going with Visual Studio. I can't show you the very top, but I'm clicking the Go menu and going to Applications, and I'm going to look for Visual Studio Code. Not Visual Studio, that's the big developer. It's gigs of information. Visual Studio Code's a lot smaller, a lot leaner, meaner. And so here is the very unwelcoming Visual Studio Code, but don't worry, it gets better because this will take care of all your stuff. So at the very top here on the left, this basically tells me what's open. Nothing's open, I just started. But this is what's going to show me the structure of the websites that I'm working on. It will allow me to search. This is the Git source control, so nothing is registered just yet. The instructions to link in are in the PC videos. I might do something here as well, but here's for debugging. This is extensions that you can put in, and we might do that later. And then at the very bottom we have the settings. What I'm more interested in right now, especially if you've already started, or you haven't started I should say, you can start to think about where your code will go. And for that, you first do need to get that GitHub account. And if you do have the GitHub account, it should be a little bit easier. So I'm going to the top menu, and once again, I wish you could see it, but there is a menu called View. I click on View, and Command Palette, which is going to be Shift Command P, the shortcut, will then pop up this command line. Get a little prompt here, that little bracket, and I'm going to put in the command git clone, and it filled it up for me. It's the first one up here, git clone. And now it's saying, what's a repository URL? And that is the one that I just showed you that's in your GitHub page. It's the long one that I copied previously, so I can right click and paste it. Here's mine. It's https://github.com/my username/my username.github.io. Now by now, also keep in mind that since I already have this web page, is because I went through the initial process of uploading some files to make it run. If you just create a GitHub account, you need to do that first, so that it's recognized as a web page and as a repository. I'm going to press enter so that this goes and then says, okay, well now it's recognized that I have a GitHub repository and I can put it somewhere. And since I deleted all my old stuff in this new installation, I'm going to put it in a new place, somewhere where I can find it. And why not, I'm going to go into the desktop, into that files folder, and I'm going to create a folder in here, new folder, and it's going to be called repos for repositories. Create, and then I say, okay, this is where I want it. So now it's cloning. So would you like to open the clone repository? Sure, see what happens. I'll click on open, and now I'm still in Visual Studio Code, but you'll see that it's telling me welcome to the repository. To the left are the folders that I've already been working on. So if you're just getting started, you won't have these, but if you follow the directions on the following videos, you'll know how to create folders that have all the information, the index files, the code that you download and you write. Currently, I haven't gotten this far, but there's images to be had, and repository is running and ready to go. We have not done anything with GitHub Desktop yet, but we will at some point. Git, the big one that we installed, that's running in the background, and that's going to be useful for other projects in the rest of the course. If you, by the way, happen to take another class that takes or rather uses development tools from Microsoft, there will be a time when it's going to ask you about your Git account. And just know this, that your Git account, the one that's hooked up to the github.com, although you can change it, it's not going to be obvious how to log out. So if and when you get to that point, hopefully your instructor will give you instructions on how to remove the thing from your, or rather the login from your account. Sorry about the long video. Sorry that Mac people had to wait for this, but if you have any questions, please send me an email and I'll try to resolve them as well and soon as I can.